Okay, we are back with day 32 of the Rogue Tanks devlog. Today I'm going to show you guys Survivor mode because it is now fully functioning. And let's just go ahead and use a normal tank. Oh yeah, I am also expanding the level roster. So I don't have all these levels made out yet, but I have begun adding a few extra levels just to fill this out more. I kind of wanted to have more variety really in the beginning portion of the game, because originally the game is well, there was originally 8 environments for each there were 8 levels for each environment. It's like 8 desert levels, 8 forest levels, and you would go to 4 of each environment when you're going through the campaign, which means there was 50% chance that you'd go to any one of these levels. Well, I want to get more variety, so I've upped it to 12, I think it's going to be, for desert and forest, and then 11 for the metal and space. Just because that's how it rounds out the screen here. I guess there might be room for another level or another row here, but I'd have to seriously cut out I'd have to cut out this text and these records. I'd really have to rearrange the screen more, but I think this is the final level count that's going to be. Obviously I haven't filled them all in yet, but yeah. So let's go ahead and pick a standard level. This one's pretty good. So what's happening here is right here, this is going to be where enemies spawn in, and it sparkles just before the enemies do pop in. Now, I just killed one enemy, and as you can see at the top left corner, it has 1 out of 1 for next upgrade. That's because the first enemy I kill, I get a free upgrade, and then the game continues. Also, this reroll coin was here at the start. This reroll coin just appeared after my last upgrade. So after each upgrade, after each upgrade, there is a 50% chance that a new reroll coin will appear. So it's not after every upgrade, so you can't, I guess, farm them too much. Let's see, what do I want? I'll get max bullet up. But yeah, the next upgrade count does increase. It's not formulated. I have an array of numbers that make up the next upgrade amount, so I've sort of manually decided what the curve is going to look like on how frequently you get upgrades. Obviously it's going to be very high at the beginning. Let's get a power. There's another reroll coin. It's going to be very high at the beginning in order to facilitate getting up to speed per se, to get things rolling faster, because pretty soon, whoops, I just grabbed the window on my screen. You guys probably didn't even notice. What's going to happen is that the amount of enemies on screen is going to rise fairly quickly. I mean, I want to give some time for the player to get acclimated. But there is a formula for how often they appear. But I guess you can observe to see if you can figure out what the formula is. Let's go reload time. Oh, also, just for reference, let's go ahead and throw the timer on screen, just so you can see how good we're doing. And the timer does stop when you're picking upgrades, because each level, I've set up so that each level will have a record of the most enemies defeated in a single run and the longest time you've survived. So one of the factors that does contribute to spawning new enemies is how many you've defeated. But in order to make sure you can't just like hide in a corner and run out the timer to get a high score, there is also a method that enemies will just appear more over time. I will point out, maybe you've noticed that enemies do not appear where there's a like a turret. Let me take this guy out here. So this guy right down here, he's not going to get any more enemies spawning where he is, or this guy up here, because they're sitting on the spawn point. And that is deliberate because I don't want you to get too overwhelmed. In fact, if I sit here long enough, there may not even be, whoops, I took that guy out. So, so what it is that enemies will respawn. Whoops, I'm about to die if I don't be more careful. Grab some armor. Enemies do respawn when this timer hits 50 seconds. Here we go. A new one is popping in now because we hit the 50-second mark. So basically every minute on the 50-second mark, a new enemy will appear. A new spawn point will appear. And all the spawn points do start at a low level. Each spawn point will level up separately based on how many enemies it puts out. So every time it puts out an enemy, it kind of goes up a level, sort of. But like only at certain thresholds do the types of enemies that come out actually come out as something more difficult. So I believe this was like the first one, so it's starting to get some actual advanced enemies popping in. So based on like our level, based how many upgrades we've received, I think it's like every 4 upgrades that we get, a new enemy spawn point will appear. But then also every minute on the 50-second mark, a new spawn point will also appear. And I do appreciate, right, I intentionally put it in that the spots will sparkle right before they're about to spawn in somebody, because you last long enough and there's spawn points all over the screen. And so you don't want to be standing on top of one when an enemy's about to pop in. An enemy will not pop in when another enemy is on the spawn point, but it will totally pop in when you're on the spawn point. And yeah, you can also do this with up to 4 players, of course, as you can with just about every game mode in here. Actually, it is every game mode. The campaign, survivor mode, and versus mode, obviously. You can have up to 4 players. Versus mode is just the only one you can't do solo. So yeah, I think I put this in because I felt there was a desire to have sort of an endless mode where you could just keep getting more and more powerful upgrades. Oh, there is something that is missing. So right now, when you hit the threshold of number of enemies defeated, it throws up fireworks on the screen. That is intended to get the player's attention so that they aren't like pressing the fire button over and over again when an upgrade is about to pop up and then they accidentally make a selection that they didn't want to make. What I'm missing is a sound effect to go along with it. Right now it's just visual, and what I really need is a sound effect to clue the player in to like, hey, you got an upgrade, stop pressing the button. Now, this is only going to be a problem with the mouse, because when you're playing on a gamepad, the fire button and the accept button are different. But with a mouse, I mean, I guess I could take away the ability to select stuff with the mouse, but I think that would be impractical for the user. Because, right, I mean, you could always just hit enter to select something. But I don't want to make it inconvenient for the player to have to take their mouse off the hand while they're playing, you know? But that would be another way to get around the problem of the user like hitting an upgrade when they shouldn't. So right now, yeah, the fireworks are kind of an indication to, hey, release the mouse button, don't press anything because this menu is about to pop up. So I can now shoot that guy, yeah. And I'm just grabbing all these reroll coins. It's good that the reroll coins are something that reappear, because it means there's a motivation to not sit in camp somewhere, if that's even possible. I mean, if you're using like the lob tank or the missile tank, something that excels better at long range, then there's some incentive to stay put if you can find a safe spot and just keep firing from a distance. But with the reroll coins being out there, it's more of a motivation to keep moving around. Whoops. And I guess I shouldn't take too long in here. But yeah, the upgrade count does go up pretty high. I guess I can tell you from a design purpose, there is a max to this. There is a maximum number of upgrades you can get, although it is pretty high. When you reach the max, this will change from next upgrade to just how many enemies you've defeated. So you can still keep track of how many enemies you defeated. I've defeated 115, but it will keep counting over the number of upgrades you can get, just so you can see how far you've gone in surviving. But if I don't die soon, I'll just have to die on purpose, because I want to get to the code on how to make this. But as you can see, I'm doing pretty good right now. Kind of waiting for... Oh, yeah, that was a missile. Ah, here we go. Those guys that just rush at you. I guess I'll grab some armor. That would be the smart thing to do. I'm starting to get some tougher enemies in here. And I'll show you what the spread is like as well. Like what kind of enemies are popping up. I need to get like a max bullet increase because I'm running out of shots with my bullets bouncing around. There we go, max bullets. There we go. See that guy? He's rushing at me because he sees me. I don't think he would move if... Yeah. It's one of those guys that if he can see me, he'll rush at me. But if not, he's just going to stay put. Basically wait for me to get into range. We got missile shots. Really the tough guys are like the lob shots, because that ensures you can't stay in one spot. You'll have to keep moving around. Oh yeah, and if you may have noticed, I did nerf those yellow, I call them sprinkler type enemies that just shoot in 4 directions all the time. I nerfed them down to be only 3 HP instead of... or 3 armor instead of the 5 that they were at before, just because they do show up kind of early. They are actual early type enemies, so I thought they were just too powerful having 5 armor. Just a small balance thing. Whoops, I got hit. Oh yeah, also every time you get an upgrade, it removes all the bullets from the screen. It is sort of a soft room reset. Obviously the enemies stay put. But yeah, all the bullets are removed, so you don't have to like be aware of what was happening on screen before the upgrade menu popped up. Because everything's going to be reset essentially. And that's also, you know, just sort of like a good user experience, I think. Those missile guys are coming at me. So I've made some new achievements too, and one of them is survive for 10 minutes, which looks like it's not going to be too hard. I'm going to make that right now. But then there's actually one harder than that, which is kill 300 enemies. Oh, that's a new enemy right there. This pink guy. It's not very complex. It's basically just a random moving tank with some power on his bullets. So like, I can't just, because I was having the problem where I think the power upgrade was too good. And so I need to have an enemy that had some power itself. So that way, you know, the player can't just get one power upgrade and suddenly be more powerful than every enemy out there. Whoops. Getting low on health. Almost at 10 minutes. Oop. That darker blue tank was actually a patrol tank. So it would actually move around to look for me, and if it sees me, it'll rush me. Oh, there was a lob shot that I just destroyed. Gonna keep me moving around. Get rid of these guys in the corner here. Bullet speed's pretty good right now. Should probably get more bullet max, actually. So yeah, I kind of paced out the upgrade numbers to be... I mean, you can't have too many in the beginning because it gets, like, bothersome that you have to pick an upgrade so often. Whoops. So yeah, that blue tank right there, if I can get out of sight. Yeah, there we go. He's just going to patrol looking for me, which is good because it means I shouldn't be able to just sit in place. Oops, there's a lob shot tank. But they do get caught in circles pretty easily, actually. Oh, I've passed 10 minutes by far. I'm at 11 minutes. There's another upgrade. Okay. Well, the next is at 300. I'm just going to go ahead and lose on purpose here. And see how long I lasted and how many points I got. How many enemies I defeated, really. So yeah, Survivor Mode is going to contribute to the reward points for unlocking tank colors, as discussed in the previous video. I don't think I talked about this before, but I've separated the missions and records. So I've added some more missions. I got versus player. This is kind of just like a filler one to make sure you actually use the versus mode. This is the only achievement tied to versus mode. Then there's Destroyer is now the 300 in Survivor mode. Survivor is 10 minutes in Survivor mode, and Colorful is just get all the tank colors. Records now, if I press right or left, you can see up here what kind of records I'll go to. So these are the Survivor records. It just holds total enemies defeated by each tank. So that's just kind of a usage, really. How often do you use each tank? And then down here's the best record with each tank. And then again, the longest time with each tank. So yeah, the Lob tank, pretty good. I think it's low-key the best tank in the game. Obviously, you have to upgrade it a specific way for it to be that way, but I think it is the best, actually. I have been thinking about changing the 4X tank, though, to make it better, because I've been worried about it being too good compared to the normal tank, but I think it needs to get buffed a little bit more. So let's check out the code now. So in the main game object, I have, here's my Survivor mode stuff. So Survivor mode is set to true when I'm going to Survivor mode for handling different things. Cursor for the level select. I don't know if I actually use that because I think I actually just switched it over to use the versus mode. So here's the versus mode level select screen. And then right above it is the Survivor mode level select screen. So I just have another case above it that draws the records for defeated and fastest time per level. And yeah, versus cursor is the same thing here. I don't think I use Survivor cursor anymore. I think I was originally going to use... I was originally planning on having a whole separate list of levels for Survivor mode, but I realized I could just put it on all the regular levels. I don't need to make specific levels for Survivor mode. Because of the way that Survivor points, or respawn points for the enemies just kind of appear at random. So yeah, I don't have a break here, so that it will just do everything else that Survivor, or the versus mode level select screen does. Back in here, Survivor kills, so that's how many enemies you defeat. I have an upgrade index to track what level the player, how many upgrades they've gotten. And then this is the array right here, how many enemies you defeat. So you get an upgrade on your first enemy, and then it's 3, and then 5, then 8, then 12, 16. You can see it goes on and on. I guess I don't want to spoil how high it goes. Obviously it goes up to 300 because that's one of the achievements. But yeah, it does keep going. I do have an array listed out there. And then it just grabs the array size right here for reference because I use that in my code. Oh, this is the flash rate. Oh, I think that's for the fireworks. So in my step event, here is the spot where if all enemies in campaign mode or reached kill number in survivor mode. So if there's no enemies and it's not versus mode or survivor mode, that is the campaign victory. And then scroll over, it's either that or survivor mode. It is survivor mode, and you have next upgrade index is less than array size. Oh yeah, that's making sure you're not at the end of the array of upgrades to get. That's so that it'll not trigger any more upgrades after you've passed the array. And then survivor kills is greater than or equal to next upgrade array. I don't think it's possible to have more unless there's some way you can get 2 enemies at once, in which case you have the greater than possibility. But when it's equal to the next upgrade array, upgrade index number, basically when it's equal to, your number of kills is equal to one of these, then whoops, it'll trigger the same end of level. This is the same code for when you beat a level in the campaign, so that it pops up the upgrade menu. But the reason you don't switch to a new level, if we scroll down a little bit, oh yeah, right here I added this thing, pause fire. The players have a pause fire thing now that's true or false. Basically, when picking an upgrade, if you're using the mouse, it would also fire a bullet as soon as you pick that upgrade. I think assuming you're the last one to pick, because it wouldn't fire if you weren't. It won't fire when you're in the upgrade menu, but if you're the last one to pick and you're on mouse, which I realized because I was the only one playing, it would fire a bullet. So I have this, it pauses your firing ability now, and then part of the reset is that you become, this will be set to false so you can fire again. If survivor mode, if next upgrade index is less than the upgrade array size, so if you're still getting more upgrades, then increase the upgrade array index. And then, but if not, if you're, this line might not be necessary anymore because of the way the array index works. But I'll leave it here just to make sure I don't break anything. So player ready becomes 0. We got all the players. This is after it makes sure everyone has all their upgrades picked. Menu level goes back to none, and with object player bullet count goes to 0. Upgrade menu goes to -1, which is not in the upgrade menu. Cursor upgrade goes to 0. This is resetting the position, so you're back in the middle when the next upgrade menu pops up. But bullet count equals 0. So what's normal is that all the bullets are removed. That's normal in the campaign mode too, so that you can't like get shot accidentally after you've defeated all the enemies. So that's why all the bullets already all disappear. And then this bullet count, this is the player bullet count. So the problem was, this wasn't a problem in the campaign, but in survivor mode when you're on the same screen, because the players aren't reset in the same way that the campaign does, if you had bullets out, those would still count as have been fired, but they weren't like removed the same way, so you could basically run out of bullets because they wouldn't be refreshed completely. So that's why I have this 0 here. And yeah, same thing with any enemies that are still out there. They need to have their bullet count reset as well. And yeah, here is the random reroll coin pop-up. So there's a chance of 1 to 10, and then if it's over 5, so 50% chance, and I could change that number easily if I wanted to. It'll create another reroll coin. And on that reroll coin, well, let me get to the respawn spot. So let me see here. Object, what is that called? Survivor, oh, survive respawn? Where is that? Object survive respawn. Here is the code for creating new respawn points for enemies. So here we go. If the timer, well, first of all, up here we got if survivor mode and not on the title screen. I guess this is the check for the fireworks if you've earned an upgrade. And then this is displaying how many until the next upgrade, or if you've defeated all you can get, then it'll just say how many you have defeated in total. So for creating a new enemy spawn point, if the timer is 50, the second is 50, so every minute. If I wanted to be like a minute and a half or something, that would be trickier to code. But yeah, for every minute, it's easy to just pick a second point. I didn't want to do 0 because I didn't want to have like an enemy spawn in right at the start. Instead, it's towards the end of the first minute at 50 seconds. Or if next upgrade index is more than the number of spawn points times 4 minus 3. So when there's 0 out, your upgrade index is 0, which is greater than 0 minus 3. So you'll get a spawn point right in at the beginning. Oh yeah, and then as soon as there is one, you're suddenly at 0 still before you get an upgrade, is not greater than 1 times 4, which is 4 minus 3, so 1. So yeah, so you get 1 right at the beginning, and then minus 3, so once you get to level 2, then these are equal, and then 3, so when you get your second upgrade, it'll create your second respawn point. Unless, of course, you already got to 50 seconds. So if you're taking a long time at the beginning, it'll be easier for you. You know, basically it's easier for players who aren't doing as well. But if you are doing well, it'll spawn in more enemies so you can upgrade faster. So it's kind of like a natural built-in difficulty scaling thing, where if you're having a hard time right at the beginning, the number of enemies won't be so intense. But if you are good already and you can just blast through these enemies, then you can get up to higher levels faster, so you're not like wasting time if you're trying to get to that 300 achievement faster. And it will pick a random spot here, but if we go to the actual object in the create event, if you're not in survivor mode, destroy yourself. That's just right up at the top, just in case. Spawn time, so it takes 12 seconds for it to actually fade in. If you saw it was fading in, it takes about 12 seconds to do that. And then right here in the create event, if spawn place is meeting with parent spawn points, this is a new object right here, which includes other spawn points and all tanks and walls and the reroll coin. Which tanks and walls, I guess I didn't think about that. That could be, oh yeah, so it shouldn't spawn in right on top of the player. Right? Yeah, it should not spawn in right on top of the player wherever you happen to be at the point. But basically that's to make sure I can go into any of those levels with like walls all over the place and it'll not spawn in on a wall, because if it does, it'll just pick a new spot until it finds a free area. It'll just keep picking random spots. And I have these 30 pixel borders just to make sure it's not too close to another wall or something. Here is the scaling of the difficulty. So every time it spawns in an enemy, it gets a spawn level. And so if it's below 10, so basically 0 through 9, it'll either just be a regular stationary enemy turret or one of the simple random move guys. So you get a lot of easy enemies, basically the enemies you would see in the first environment in the campaign anyway. All those easy enemies are going to be for the first 9 for each spawn point. And then as soon as you get to 10, you'll get into the second level, which is the faster shooting stationary turret and the sprinkler and the random move again, but then also the random close one, which is the one that moves at random, and then when you're close it stops and shoots at you. Level 3. Once you get to over 20, you'll get the same stationary one that shoots faster, the missile, the random close again, and then the one that waits in place until it sees you, then it charges at you. And then the final group of enemies over 30, you got the lobber, the smart shooter. This is the one, it's a single turret that'll shoot. It shoots faster than the other ones, but it also will shoot at missiles coming at it, just to like try to make it harder for that type of tank. The random patrol and the random power, that new one that moves at random and just shoots stronger bullets. It does get pretty overwhelming when you get at higher levels. If you think you can survive that long, I obviously have, but I do want to issue the challenge out to everyone else to see how well they can do, especially on different types of levels, because I like having the records saved for each level so you can kind of see like I guess if certain levels are harder or easier, and you can kind of challenge yourself to try to see how good you can do on maybe harder levels. I like being able to have that option of a self-challenge, because there's not like an official challenge of like do it on every level. It's just on any level you want for the actual achievements. And then this is a records update. Yeah, level specific stuff and then tank specific stuff. We've gone over saving records before, and like I had to update my save script. So a new thing to add to that data is the different enemies defeated, most defeated, longest time. These are just the individual tank records. And then you've got for each level right here, because there's going to be 54 levels now. And so, yeah, for each of those levels, it saves the number defeated and then the minutes and seconds of the longest time survived, regardless of tank type. Saving the best records on each level for each tank would be overkill. I don't think anyone's going to use that information. I think it's just useful to know which tank has done best and then which level has done best, kind of a thing. So yeah, that is the survivor mode update. This has been probably one of my longer videos just because there's so much to go over. It's so cool to have the survivor mode. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.